All right, hey YouTube, Sean Wayman here with RB Bass. Just starting up a fishing channel. I'm going to try and share a little knowledge that I've learned over the years. And today we're going to talk jigs, finesse jigs specifically. I'll show you a couple others that I just tied. I've tied jigs for a long time. I got out of it, didn't do it for a while, and then recently I've kind of gotten back in. And I got me a little fluid bed here. For those of you that don't know, that's for the paint. It fluffs it up so it goes on a little bit better. It's run by this aquarium pump. I just bought it off of Amazon, 50 bucks. Someone gave me a gift card for Amazon. Didn't know what else I wanted anyway. I'm going to show you my garage here because right now it is a freaking pigsty. There's fishing stuff all over the place. And this is a 3-car garage. But between the weights, the golf stuff, and the fishing stuff, it's a mess. I also just got this oven. You'll see some jig heads in here right now baking. Those are some 3/4 and 1 ounce. They're almost done. The thing's gonna ding anytime. Anyway, please like, subscribe. I don't have any subscribers, so I don't know how this thing's going to get out there. Yep, oven just dinged, so those are done. Anyway, I'm going to sit down here. We're going to talk a little bit about jigs, show you some of the finesse jigs I made, why I'm tying my jigs. That's kind of a big one because it'd be a lot easier to just buy them like most people do. But I know there's plenty of guys out there that like to mess around and build their own stuff. It's fun. It can be frustrating when you're trying to learn. And this morning I had to go through a little bit of a learning curve because the heads I'm using are not the easiest to tie on. These are probably meant for like a spider grub. They're Gamakatsu football heads. They got a great light wire hook in them. I like the build because they're really compact. That one was a 3/8. And I'm doing 3/8, half, 3/4, and 1 ounce. There's the 1 ounce. So the 1 ounce are like, I think these are $6. And you get 4 of the 1 ounce. You get down to the halves and you get 5. So the 3/4 are also 4, 3/8 you get 5. There's a 2/0 hook in the 3/8 and the half, and maybe the half is a 3/0, and then it goes up to a 5/0 in the 3/4 and 1 ounce. But it still allows you to tie a compact jig, which is what I'm really after. I like compact in the wintertime and the fall, and I like them to be not overly done. You'll see here that's brown living rubber, and then there's a little bit of purple silicone in there, and then I really like red, just kind of to give a target, you know. Now you can tie with red thread, but it's not always real visible, and you'll see these are all different. Some of them have way more red than others. I'm just using I think it's my wife's makeup brush. I just dip this in the paint and then just, you know, tap it like that and it falls on the jig. So I don't really want it uniform. I want it splotchy, if you will, because, well, every crawdad I've ever seen has been splotchy. Their color patterns are not real consistent. They're not uniform. And that's what I'm trying to mimic. So I basically stick with brown. I have some other colors. There's certain times of year, conditions, I will mess around with some other stuff, muddy water, tannic water, that kind of thing. But for the most part, here in California, where I'll be fishing over the next couple of months anyway, is Highland reservoirs, pretty clear water. It can get muddy. Berryessa can get muddy. Even Orville and Shasta can get a little muddy, but there's always clear areas in the lake. At least my experience says that. So brown is really good. And then you can always use the accents in the jig to make them stand out a little bit more. Now this one, you'll see I put the purple on the bottom. I used a few more strands. That's probably 10 strands of purple. This was 5 strands. Of course, when you fold them over, then you're doubling it. But nice compact jig. That's a 4-inch Yamamoto twin tail. That's cinnamon purple, I believe the color is. That's a 1/2 ounce. Nice small profile, you know. But even big fish will eat it. It's still a jig. Here's one. This is brown with the Texas craw. That's a range 3-inch ring craw that I cut like a 1/2 inch off of. This one's what's the name of it? TRD Hog Z. I also like the smallie beavers, work really, really well on them. I think they're in the boat. And you can do different things with them. Here I left a couple strands of the purple longer. I don't know if I'll leave it that way, but it's just fun to experiment. But finesse isn't the only thing I'm tying. I mean, this one here is not really finesse. You'll notice it has a weed guard. We'll go over weed guards in a second. Oh, by the way, this is a Boss head. Boss is very popular. They make really good stuff. This is a light wire hook on this one. This is a Revenge head. And as far as I know, they are not for sale. Not even sure if Revenge is still in business. I think it's the best football head ever made. This one's years old, and you can see the paint is flawless. I didn't paint that. It's still like new. So anyway, I save all my Revenge heads, and then I retie it, and that's I tied that this morning. Brown round rubber, and I think it's called Texas craw. This is silicone tabs in it. This one, one strip of brown living rubber, and I think it's one or 2 tabs. Like getting old sucks. Of the Texas craw. So I've got a lot of new paints coming, so I'm going to have some really cool stuff to do. I'm kind of trying to get myself to chill out so that I don't overbuild. That's one thing that can happen, you know. Next thing you know, you got 40 jigs that are all the same, and it's like, man, really? Am I going to go through them that fast? I don't do this to sell them. I just do it for me, and it's so that I can get the jigs the way I want. Most jigs, in my opinion, come with too much material on them. Even this Revenge, I mean, God, it's hard to say there's too much on there because it looks so darn good, but when I go to use it, I may trim it out some, you know, put some jagged cuts in the sides and along the bottom and top so that it just looks a little more beat up. But, you know, the living rubber dances around so well in the water. That's why I use the living rubber this time of year, because you can let the jig sit still and it's going to dance around. And with the living rubber and just a little bit of the silicone in there, the living rubber is going to help that silicone move around just a little bit and hopefully trigger bass. I can tell you in the past, these have worked really, really well for me. I am new to using the Gamakatsu head for this. I've used these for ages for my spider grub fishing. That collar there just makes it hard. You'll see, and I might have already said this, but this little narrow collar, which isn't much wider than these tweezers, is where I have to tie at. There's not a lot of room. Let me grab another jig head. Or try to anyway. There we go. I'm sorry, I called that a Boss head. Actually, that other one was a Boss. This is a Santone. But you can see the jig tying collar, the skirt tying collar right here is probably 3 times as wide as the other one. Much easier to tie on this, but it's a much heavier hook. But these are great heads, and they were actually very reasonable. I think I got 50 of them for 75 bucks. That's a 1/2 ounce. Good finish on them. There's a little finesse. I call it finesse because it's so small. But you can see that the skirt tying area here is really wide. That's definitely not a heavy wire hook, but I wouldn't call it a light wire either. I believe that's a, I don't know, 1/4 ounce maybe. And this one has a weed guard, light flipping, I guess. I may tie some of these without even putting the weed guard in it. So the reason I don't want a weed guard actually in these, spotted bass have a tendency to swat at the bait or just hit the bait and not open their mouth. In most of the areas I'm fishing these finesse footballs, I'm not throwing them in wood. I'll throw them around trees, you know, that are standing trees out in the water. But we don't have a lot of that in Northern California or California as a whole, because apparently they believe trees shouldn't be in the water. So they tend to take all that stuff out. Now, if you get up to Shasta and Oroville, there are some areas with some standing timber still around. But for the most part, it's gone. Berryessa, there's a little bit, not much. Most of the time you're going to be fishing, you know, points, flats, long tapering points with these. There's some rock on them, hard bottom. That's where I'm fishing these at. And they work really, really good. They hook up real well. You don't have to use heavy line, which is also an advantage in the wintertime, especially in the Clear Highland Reservoir, Shasta, Oroville, Berryessa, places across the country, much the same, I'm sure. And I can fish these down to 8-pound test without an issue. I actually have 2 bait casting rods that's what I throw on them, is 8-pound test, and they're for jigs and also Neko rigs and that kind of thing. But I won't throw over 12. I mean, these are, you see that hook, it's pretty narrow, and there is some flex in there, you can see it. But they're pretty good. I mean, I've caught 8-pounders on these, so I'm not overly concerned about it. You just fish it on the right gear and you're fine. And the hookup ratio is phenomenal. And, you know, a lot of times they'll bite these jigs when they won't eat a typical full-size jig. There are other jig companies out there for those that want to buy them. Johnny C's makes a phenomenal jig, very, very popular. If you're the type that wants to buy them, look up Johnny C's. He's got an outstanding lineup of jigs. I mean, more than anybody I know, as far as colors and different series and all that kind of stuff. Boy, you can find whatever you want. Mr. B Lures also makes some really good stuff. You can check them out at monsterfishingtackle.com. Go to rbbassfishing.net. You can find the links there for Monster Fishing Tackle. Anyway, I think that's all I got as far as the jig tying stuff goes right now. We'll get into some more of it. Fishing jigs, that kind of thing. I'm going to be doing some reviews, lure modifications, little tips and tricks, those kinds of things. Try to build this channel up. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I appreciate the information people are putting out there, and hopefully I can offer you some of the same. So please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what kinds of things you'd like to see. and we'll definitely go over it. All right. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you taking the time. And again, like and subscribe. Please share with your friends. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Tight lines.